Ever get this feeling that Bitcoin is like uh, a rebellious teenager? In the world of finance, I mean. It's
Yeah.
like, it's screaming, you can't tell me what to do, but what if I told you that rebellious streak actually goes way back to like the internet's early days? We're talking 1996,
Oh, wow.
a time when most people were still figuring out how email worked.
Right. The Wild West out there.
Totally. And in the middle of it all, you had this guy, John Perry Barlow, basically dropping a digital declaration of independence,
It's a different time, for sure.
saying governments had no power in cyberspace. Really,
Hmm.
no power. That's a bold move even for the internet. What made him so convinced governments couldn't handle the internet?
He was looking ahead, you know? Barlow saw a future where people connected freely online, sharing ideas without censorship. A stark contrast to the physical world with its borders and restrictions. And he believed this new space could change society, like really change it. And trying to control it the old way simply wouldn't fly.
Like trying to fit a whale in a bathtub, maybe.
Exactly.
It just doesn't work. So fast forward to today, enter Bitcoin. We know it's this whole decentralized digital currency thing. But what's the actual link to this Declaration of Independence?
Well, it's not just a coincidence. I mean, the article you shared explicitly connects Bitcoin's emergence with Barlow's vision. There's even a video out there where the minds behind Bitcoin directly credit his declaration as a major inspiration.
So those weary giants of flesh and steel mentioned in the article, they weren't fans of Bitcoin.
That phrase is super fascinating.
Yeah.
It paints this vivid picture of governments, these massive institutions, grappling with something they don't understand and can't control. Like Bitcoin. Imagine a kid with a smartphone outsmarting a room full of bureaucrats.
That's a hilarious image. And I guess in a way, trying to control Bitcoin is kind of like trying to censor a meme. Good luck with that.
Right.
You can't exactly put a firewall around cyberspace.
It's practically impossible. Bitcoin, like that meme spreading like wildfire, exists on a global network of computers constantly changing hands. There's no central authority to shut it down or censor it. And that's where decentralization comes into play. The very essence of both Barlow's vision and Bitcoin itself. It's like they both stumbled upon this secret code word.
Decentralization.
Right. That unlocks a whole new level of freedom. And control. Instead of power residing in one place, it's spread out among many.
Okay, that makes sense. But if no one's in charge, how do things actually get done? Who makes the rules in this decentralized utopia? It can't just be a free-for-all, right?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And surprisingly, both Barlow and the creators of Bitcoin offer a similar answer. Self-governance. It's this radical idea that communities should have the power to set their own rules and make their own decisions without relying on some higher authority.
So it's like a digital town hall meeting. But for, well, everything. How does that even work in practice?
Yeah.
Especially with something as complex as Bitcoin?
Think of it less like a town hall and more like a giant open source software project. In Bitcoin's case, the rules are literally encoded into the software itself. And changes happen through consensus, meaning a majority of the network's participants have to agree.
So no more shady backroom deals or decrees from on high. It sounds amazingly egalitarian, but let's be real. Can this self-governance thing truly work in the long run? The article did mention some potential downsides, right?
It's not a perfect system, that's for sure. One of the biggest challenges is figuring out how to deal with disagreements and conflicts within these decentralized communities. After all, even online forums can't seem to agree on what makes a good meme these days.
Exactly. People can be pretty passionate, especially when it comes to something as important as, say, their money. And the article didn't shy away from those concerns. It sounds like there are real questions about security, scalability, and just make sure everyone's on the same page.
Absolutely, there are valid concerns. But here's the thing. Even with those challenges, the potential benefits of decentralization, especially when combined with self-governance, are enormous.
It's like we're trying to rebuild society, but like in the digital world this time.
Kind of.
And the building blocks are ones and zeros. So where do we even begin to unpack the benefits of this whole decentralization thing?
Well, imagine a world where you truly hold the keys to your own financial destiny without answering to any bank or government. That's the kind of radical shift Bitcoin promises. And beyond just money, think about the implications for free speech. What if platforms for sharing ideas were run by their users, not beholden to advertisers or algorithms?
So instead of mega corporations calling the shots, it's more like a digital co-op. That's a pretty wild concept. But it's also kind of exhilarating, you know?
Absolutely. And it's not just theoretical anymore. We're already seeing these glimmers of this decentralized future taking shape. Look at the rise of alternative social networks, where users have a say in how the platforms are run,
Hmm.
or the growing world of decentralized finance, where people can lend and borrow money directly from each other, cutting out the middleman entirely.
It's like the internet is finally starting to live up to its early promise
Mm.
of empowering individuals. That's what Barlow was talking about all those years ago.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that thought-provoking question posed at the end of the article.
Let's hear it.
Could Bitcoin be just the tip of the iceberg? A sign of a much broader shift towards decentralization in all aspects of our lives.
Wow. That's a big question to end on. But it's definitely one worth pondering. I mean, we've been focusing on finance and technology, but what about other areas? Like government. Could we see more decentralized models of governance emerge, where citizens have a more direct say in how their communities are run?
It's certainly possible. Imagine a world where power isn't concentrated in the hands of a select few, but distributed more evenly amongst the people. It wouldn't be easy, of course, but the potential benefits are huge.
This whole deep dive has really opened my eyes. It's not just about Bitcoin. It's about rethinking how we structure our systems and who holds the power. It's about envisioning a future where technology empowers individuals rather than just a select few.
Precisely. And the most exciting part is that this future isn't predetermined. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the technologies we embrace, and the conversations we have.
So to our listener out there,
We leave you with this.
what kind of decentralized future will you help create? It's been a wild ride exploring this unexpected connection between Bitcoin and a digital declaration of independence from the 90s. Who knew history could be so relevant? Until next time, keep those brainwaves buzzing.